What happens when the very people meant to protect a child become the ones who inflict the greatest harm? What happens when a little girl barely 2 years old disappears from her home, and no one notices for more than 2.5 years? This is the story of London Kerr, a story as heartbreaking as it is infuriating. It's a case that exposes not only the dark secrets of one household, but also the disturbing failures of a community and a system that should have kept her safe. London Kerr was born on September 1st, 2019. By April of 2022, she should have been a happy, playful toddler, learning new words, running across the yard, and exploring the world with the wonder only a child can have. But sometime that month, London disappeared. She didn't run away. She didn't wander off. She simply vanished from a residence in Moore, Oklahoma, where she lived with her mother, Ashley C.J. Rowland, and her mother's boyfriend, Joshua Paul Denton. The most chilling part? No one reported her missing. Not her mother, not Denton, not anyone else in that home. And for 2 years and 5 months, no one, not neighbors, not relatives, not the authorities, even realized she was gone. It wasn't until September 2024 that the Oklahoma Department of Human Services, or DHS, learned of London's existence and disappearance. And even then, it was purely by chance. DHS had been investigating Rowland for an unrelated matter when they discovered that a child named London was unaccounted for. If not for that unrelated case, London's disappearance might still be a hidden secret, known only to those in the house where she was last seen. When investigators confronted Rowland, her story unraveled almost immediately. First, she claimed London was living with her biological father in Georgia. That lie fell apart quickly when the father confirmed he hadn't seen his daughter and had no idea she was missing. Then Rowland changed her story. She claimed she had given London to a man named Carlos, someone she knew from buying methamphetamine. She suggested he might be London's father and said he had taken her to Mexico. But when investigators tried to verify this account, they couldn't even confirm that Carlos existed. There was no credible evidence, no records, and no leads to support this claim. It was another desperate attempt to shift blame. As the investigation deepened, what emerged was far more disturbing than a missing child case. Court documents painted a horrifying picture of what life was like inside that Moore, Oklahoma home. It wasn't just neglect. It was a pattern of abuse that defied belief. Witnesses described Denton striking London with a wooden paddle inscribed with the words, "The Last Resort." He allegedly shot her and other children in the home with a BB gun, poured hot sauce in her eyes, and forced her to eat a hot pepper. In perhaps the most haunting detail, he locked London, a toddler barely old enough to speak in full sentences, in a closet. Alone, in the dark. The cruelty extended to other children in the household. Rowland's teenage son was allegedly duct-taped to a chair, beaten with a belt, and threatened with death if he told anyone. Denton was also accused of sexually abusing his own 8-year-old daughter. And Ashley Rowland? She admitted to seeing some of the abuse but denied that Denton had ever harmed London. Her denial is contradicted by multiple witness accounts, raising questions about how much she truly knew and how much she chose to ignore. In October 2024, Rowland was arrested on a charge of child abandonment. Shockingly, she posted bond and was released, sparking outrage among those following the case. This was a mother who had lied about her daughter's whereabouts for more than 2 years, who had lived in a home where children endured unimaginable abuse, and she was free to walk the streets. The Moore Police Department initially led the investigation, but as the case grew more complex and leads grew cold, it was transferred to the Oklahoma State Bureau of Investigation in 2024. Still, there was no sign of London. Then on August 5, 2025, a major development. Rowland and Denton were arrested in Cleveland County. Denton was charged with 9 felony counts, 6 counts of child abuse, 1 count of forcible sodomy, 1 count of lewd or indecent acts with a child, and 1 count of engaging in a pattern of criminal offenses. Rowland faced 2 counts of enabling child abuse and 1 count of engaging in a pattern of criminal offenses. By this point, the Oklahoma City Police Department had taken over the search for London. Sergeant Dylan Quirk, speaking about the case, said, "We don't have very credible information from the people that assumed responsibility or had custody of this child. So when we take over an investigation, we have to go back and look at what has already been documented. So, time is of the essence."
From, as I said, the people that assumed responsibility or had custody of this child. And so when we take over an investigation, we have to go back and look at what's already been documented and go from there. So time is of the essence.
Quirk's words underscored the urgency. The investigation was starting from behind, with unreliable witnesses and a massive gap in time since London was last seen. Authorities released an age-progressed image showing what London might look like at age 5. A bright-eyed, beautiful little girl who should be starting school, not appearing on a missing child alert. Whether she is alive or not remains unknown. The tragedy of London Kerr's case is not just about one child's disappearance. It's about a system that failed her at every turn. There were no welfare checks for more than 2 years. No neighbors or family members came forward with concerns. A child vanished in plain sight, and for years no one outside her home even knew. It's also about complicity. The people who were supposed to protect London, her own mother and the man living in her home, either directly harmed her or allowed others to do so. And it's about the cruelty that was inflicted on multiple children, creating an environment where fear and violence were a daily reality. As of August 13, 2025, London Kerr's fate remains unknown. Authorities urge anyone with information, no matter how small, to contact the Oklahoma City Police Department. Because somewhere out there, the truth about what happened to London exists. London deserved safety, she deserved love, she deserved the chance to grow up. Instead, she became the victim of a chain of failures. Failures by the people closest to her, failures by her community, and failures by the systems meant to protect her. We cannot let her story end without finding her.